what is up? It is Snitchery. How are you doing? Normally in my intro I like throw my hands around, but as you can see from the title of this video, today is going to be all about my hands, specifically my right one, and specifically the fact that I just got a massive tattoo that covers it. I've done lots of tattoo videos on my channel before, so typically when I get a new tattoo I don't feel the need to like jump on here and tell you guys all about it, because then my entire channel will just be tattoos since I get them like monthly. However, I think a hand tattoo is a bit different. It's a huge commitment. It's a tattoo you don't necessarily see quite as often, particularly because mine covers my entire hand rather than just being like something cutesy on my finger or something like that. I think knuckle tattoos are really trendy right now because they're super cute, and initially that's what I thought I wanted to get as well, because I know so many people, like Thomas Halbert's the first person that comes to mind, whose knuckle tattoos look really good. Then I decided that if I was gonna do my hand, I wanted to just do my damn hand, so I decided to get the entire thing tattooed. In this video I'm going to be showing you guys my hand tattoo. I'm going to be talking about why it's actually healing really poorly and what I'm doing about that. I'm also going to be talking about the like breakdown I had about a week after getting it done and my existential crisis and how I was just filled with regret for a little bit, and also talking directly to the people who have searched this video and are interested in getting their own hand tattoos and sort of talking through the process and what I would recommend, what I recommend that you get one, things like that. But before we get started, if you've never seen my face before and you have any interest in ever seeing it again, definitely feel free to subscribe. It means the absolute world to me. I love my little family that I have here on YouTube, and if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. Hit this video with a like if you're feeling generous. Okay, let's get into it. So here's what my hand tattoo actually looks like. It is a four-eyed snake. So these are actually its little eyes over here. Most people think they're just like orbs or jewels, which I don't mind actually. I also have flowers that come up here and go down here, and then a sort of three-pronged tongue that's coming out of the snake's mouth. So that is what my hand tattoo looks like. I think a lot of people when they first see it think it's really illegible, because most of the time when you think of like a snake on someone's hand, you think of like seeing its entire body or a snake tattoo in general, but this is just the head of the snake. I actually left it up entirely to the discretion of my artist. I literally just emailed him and was like, I want a snake on my hand, and this is very much in keeping with his style, so we decided to go with this. It's also my third snake tattoo, my entire sleeve, which is finished by the way. I'll make a video on that. I finished it like 3 days ago. And then I also have this snake tattoo, and I plan to get one on my shin and on my spine at the bare minimum, so I'll be covered in snakes by the end of my tattoo journey. So I actually thought it was pretty cool to have one that was a little bit unorthodox, sort of to add to my collection. I personally really love the fact that the snake has 4 eyes, and to me it's legible, but that's I think because I know the artist's style, and he typically does like 4-eyed or 6-eyed animals, so I know what's going on. But I don't think I've encountered anyone else who saw that tattoo and realized that it was a snake with 4 eyes. I know someone on my IGTV was like, I don't mean this to be rude at all, but you know, I think with the anatomy of a snake, it's only supposed to have 1 eye on each side, and thought that like the blue things were eyes, but that for some reason they were both on one side of the snake. So is it the most readily, I guess, legible tattoo? No, I don't think so. I think if I got like an American traditional rose or, you know, something like that, a portrait, a ship, then, or even a snake with a body, people would be able to see what it was much more easily. But I actually like that about this tattoo. My favorite genre ever, forever, has been fantasy, and my favorite part of fantasy series have always been the creatures, so I like that I sort of have this weird little hybrid snake with a freaky tongue and lots of eyes, and that people ask questions about it and people are curious about what it is, and then I get to explain what it is, and then we get to have this whole big conversation. So I actually love that it's on my hand, and I'm obsessed with the design. My artist, who is absolutely incredible, such a lovely guy, such a talented artist, oh my god, was Igor Puente at 10,000 Foxes Tattoo in Brooklyn. I will leave his information down below as well. He's also done my brother's big thigh piece, which is a wolf. He is so enormously and incredibly talented, which is why I decided to let him do my hand, because I've wanted to get a hand tattoo for the longest time, but I wanted to find an artist who I knew I was going to be in love with and who could really like do no wrong to me, so that's why I went with Igor. And then he had a fantastic personality to match, so if you're in the New York area, he also travels quite a bit, definitely make sure to check him out. I don't know if he's posted like travel dates or anything like that. I think he's going to be in Europe at some point in the next few months, but for now he is a resident artist at 10,000 Foxes, which is also a really nice shop, so definitely be sure to check his work out. He was such a cool guy. Now as far as the process of getting my hand tattooed, I actually have a mini vlog on IGTV, so if you want to follow me on Instagram, the video is still up. on my Instagram. You can go and check that out. I have like a little vlog of the process of getting it done and the shop, how I was feeling and things like that. But I do want to do a fully, you know, fleshed out video for YouTube. But if you want to see that footage, that's where it is. I'm not going to put it here because it's vertical and that will bother me so much. So the pain level of getting my hand done, it didn't hurt as bad as I thought it would. I thought the hand would just be torturous because I've watched other videos of people who got their hands done and they said the sides in particular really hurt. For me, it wasn't as painful as my sternum, and it wasn't as painful as like the bingo wing and my sleeve, so it wasn't terrible. I'd say maybe it was like a 6.5, a 7, maybe. It really wasn't bad. Igor also, though, I think has sort of a gentle touch, so it's obviously artist to artist as well. I personally sat for 4 hours or 5 hours and it wasn't like traumatic or anything. It was fine. So if the only thing stopping you from getting your hand tattooed is the pain, as someone who, granted, has a high pain tolerance and has lots of tattoos, this was definitely not one of the worst. As far as pricing goes, I don't remember exactly how much it was, but I know it was under $1,000, but that it was around there because, like I said, this is a really detailed tattoo and I did sit like the entire afternoon I was out from like 1:30 until like 7:30. But I've always said and always will say that it's so worth it to pay for quality work, so that did not bother me at all either. Now, as far as the healing process goes, this has actually been by far the hardest tattoo for me to heal. I've never had my body reject ink or for like my tattoos to heal patchy or anything like that, and I have a full color sleeve on this arm and I've never had that problem with this color. I have a color tattoo here, never had a problem there. My sternum, everything, nothing ever healed poorly, but because this is on my hand, this one did have a little more trouble healing. Like I said, it's not fully healed, and even when I was at the shop, Igor was like, hey, by the way, this is on your hand, so it's not going to heal perfectly. It's just the nature of how a hand heals. You are going to want to come back in for a touch-up. So I knew that going into the process that it wasn't going to heal perfectly. This side is a mess, basically. And this, I also want to reiterate, is not the fault of the artist. This is just how hands work. But if you see the flowers, lost a lot of the ink on the inside, and then right here it's extremely patchy, so we'll be going over that again. So even though I knew that my tattoo would heal like this, even taking care of it exactly the same way I've taken care of all my other tattoos and never had a problem, I knew going into it that my tattoo would not heal perfectly, but it was still really freaking me out for a few days. No tattoo is ever going to be perfect, you know what I mean? Like, you're always going to have imperfections and a little bit of, you know, whatever. But it is so noticeable on this side of my hand that the tattoo looks like 30 years old, like written hard and put away wet. Like, it looks rough on that side of my hand, and particularly because I can't hide it. I don't think anyone would notice unless they're like really looking at my hand anyway, because I mean, it looks fine. I didn't even want to like touch it ever, besides doing like my Cetaphil washes and putting on lotion and stuff like that, because I was afraid that I was gonna like pull out the ink further, and I would just look at it all the time and be like, why is it healing like this? Like, it's my fault. Even though I knew Igor already told me that that's how it was going to heal and that it was going to be imperfect. And that sense of like building anxiety, I guess it would be, is I think what led me to have this absolute meltdown like 2 nights ago. I was lying in bed and I was looking at my hand tattoo, and I would look back at my computer. I was rewatching Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, and I was like, every 10 minutes I'd look back at my hand and be like, oh my god, that is on there forever. And other than the tattoo I had where there was a big mistake in it, I've never felt that sense of dread that I think a lot of people who get tattoos feel. I've never had that sense of regret. I've never ever felt that before until I got my hand done, because of course a hand tattoo, you guys can hear that in the background, I'm sorry, that's so loud. But like I was saying, a hand tattoo or a face tattoo or a neck tattoo severely limit the things you're able to do in the future. And it's, you know, it's something that you're signing up for. You have to weigh the options of whether a hand tattoo is going to make you happier than the opportunities that you might miss down the road will make you sad, essentially. Now, I have a weird job. I'm self-employed. I work exclusively on the internet, on Instagram and YouTube, and have for a couple of years now. So really, besides like a 3-month stint at Michael's craft store where I was a sales associate, I've always been self-employed. I've always been able to make my own aesthetic decisions of, you know, the way I look because of that. And I feel very confident in being self-employed and know that I personally would never settle for a job or would never fit in at a job where they do discriminate against tattoos, just because that wouldn't be the right work environment for me anyway. And I honestly don't see myself ever not being at least one, self-employed, or two, in at the very least a very creative field, because that's just sort of how I've always been. So I took a long time to think about whether I was comfortable enough to slap this on my hand and basically like really limit what I could do career-wise moving forward. I did go to college. I went to a very expensive college and graduated in 3 years with a degree in visual media art studies. So I was very dedicated to school, very dedicated to getting this degree, and this for sure in part nullifies that degree because my main area of focus was museum curation, and that was the thing I was most interested in. So of course I'm not going to be like the head curator at, I don't know, the Guggenheim. I have like really deep existential thoughts with myself about like, is what I'm doing meaningful? Should I be doing something else? And this, I think, will stop some of them because they're intrusive. That said, even when you're doing your absolute best on social media, this field can be very tumultuous and you can feel like you're slipping even when you're not slipping. And I know anyone who's an influencer or a YouTuber or anything like that, runs a blog, is self-employed in general, has a small business, can understand that. You never feel like you're at a point where you're completely comfortable or that, you know, you can ride this wave forever. You never feel like that, and you never should, because that's how people get complacent and actually do slip off. But with something like this, I realized that I'm really dedicating myself to this forever. Not that I'll be a YouTuber forever or that I'll be an Instagrammer or, you know, whatever. Those platforms probably won't exist forever, but that this is the life path I've chosen, to be a creative, to be my own boss. And that was really scary. So I was just sitting there, well, lying there for hours, staring up at the ceiling and being like, what have I done? There's no backup plan now. Like, this is it. And of course there are places that'll still hire you with a hand tattoo. But for me, this was definitely a symbolic marker that I'm gonna have to kick my own ass and make the life that I want for myself a reality for the rest of my life. And that was really scary for a second. I got over it. I'm really happy I did it. I love it now. I just had like a night where I was like, oh. But anyway, all that to say, if you are looking to get a hand tattoo, make sure you are ready. And I hate when people say stuff like that. It's my biggest pet peeve when older generation specifically says like, you're gonna regret those when you're older, or you should really think about those. I don't think it's what you really want. Do you really want to mess up your body that way? I hate when people say that, because literally fuck off. But with a hand, neck, or face tattoo specifically, I really implore you to explore whether it'll be worth it, whether it'll give you more anxiety than it'll give you happiness, whether you are absolutely ready. I mean, even make a physical list. But if you really thought about it and you still want one, congratulations. That's the conclusion I came to, and we were hand tattoo buddies. And I think that's the video. I think that's all I had to say. I definitely wanted to come on here and do an introductory video for this because she's gonna be flailing around while I'm talking in the rest of my videos, and I knew I'd get a million questions. So on that note, leave questions down below if you have any questions about the, you know, experience of getting it done or anything like that. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. Again, if you enjoyed this video, please hit me with a like. It helps me more than you will ever forget. Oh, that looks cool. See, that looks cool. But it helps me more than you will ever know. And thank you for being my friend today. And always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Mwah! Bye, guys.